Steve Mitchell is the CEO of Mitchell Communications and Research. It's a polling company. And he was hired to do a poll of evangelical Christians because people have been both fascinated and troubled, disturbed by the number of evangelicals who are supporting Donald Trump. People thought going into this election cycle that Ted Cruz was going to sweep up in the South because of so many evangelicals. Do you realize that 8 out of 10 voters in Mississippi in the primary, in the Republican primary, 8 out of 10 self-identified as evangelical Christians? And yet Trump handily beat Cruz. And he beat Cruz by some 20 points with the evangelical vote in South Carolina, another heavy evangelical state. So this polling company was hired to find out what's going on. Let's face it. Donald Trump has been divorced twice. He has said some very salty words on the campaign trail, in speeches. He's not what a lot of people would think at first blush would motivate a devout evangelical Christian to vote for him. His conversion to being pro-life is fairly recent. His defense of marriage has been at points fairly bold and at points tepid. So what's going on? Let me read to you from portions of this study, because Mitchell wrote something for, I think it was Real Clear Politics. He did an op-ed piece for them, never releasing the poll, by the way. The poll results were so disturbing that they never released the poll. The poll was designed to find out, 1, what contemporary political and religious leaders they liked or disliked, the evangelicals. 2, what issues were important to them, with the emphasis on abortion. 3, other than issues, what else might persuade them to get involved in politics. And 4, who they were demographically. This is the type of a poll that you'd expect. Yes, of course, evangelical Christians are driven by issues. Child killing is the number one issue for them. Let's see what we find. The results were fascinating. First, we found out that one of the major religious political figures of the time was very unpopular with evangelicals. In fact, for every evangelical who had a favorable opinion of him, 2 had an unfavorable opinion. The credibility of the survey was validated when we shared this information with one of the major presidential campaigns, and this leader voluntarily stepped down as the spokesperson for the religious right. These words are designed to throw you off the trail, okay? I have an idea or two of who they might be talking about here. Who is this evangelical leader that 1/3 likes and 2/3 don't like? I've got ideas, but we're not sure if they're talking about this was somebody who had endorsed one of the major campaigns, or if it's somebody who was on TV a lot. We don't know. But that's the least of our troubles. Watch this. Second, we found out that abortion was not the prime motivator for evangelical Christians. In fact, of the 400 people we interviewed, about 1/3 were pro-choice. Something we all found surprising, and probably the reason the results of this study were never released to the public. This is so disturbing, but I get it. I know that probably 2/3 of our viewers, I'm guessing 2/3 or 3/4 of our viewers are evangelical Christians. Probably 1/4 are Roman Catholic Christians. And I've been fighting for the lives of unborn babies my entire adult life. I've been arrested almost 50 times for peaceful protest against abortion. I've gone to jail. I've lost my home in lawsuits. I mean, I can show you the scars on my back for my small steps to protect babies from being butchered. And I can tell you from the scriptures and from church history and from church teaching that murder is the worst sin committed on this planet, and that abortion is murder, okay? I'm not going to take the time to prove it today on today's show. We've got dozens of shows that have already done that. But suffice to say, murder, the killing, the deliberate killing of an innocent person in a time of peace. Okay, it's not manslaughter, it's not war, it's not an accident, it's murder. Abortion is murder, and it is a sin that cries to God for vengeance. And we used to have good evangelical leaders who catechized or discipled or taught the evangelical body at large this truth. I had a serious evangelical conversion in 1976, September 6, 1976. Jesus found me, I found Christ, whatever you want to say. Jerry Falwell was about to come on the scene. Pat Robertson was on the scene. James Dobson was about to come on the scene. D. James Kennedy. These were like the four horsemen, okay? Billy Graham was a big evangelical name, but he was not strong on the critical social issues of our day. He thought that there were spiritual issues and cultural, political issues. There was a dichotomy there. But these other men, Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson, D. James Kennedy, Jim Dobson, all of them stood, and three of them endorsed my first book, had a blurb on the cover. Put that up, show them the cover, okay? This is from, look at this, Pat Robertson, Jerry Falwell, D. James Kennedy. And Jim Dobson endorsed me in a radio interview, a radio commercial rather, in my 1998 political run for office when I ran for the U.S. House. I know I have had meals or spent time with, at one level or another, with each of these men, all of them profound Christian leaders of that time, unswerving in their dedication to life. And the Christian world at large got it. And in 1988, in fact, I got to take a break. I'm going to tell you what happened in 1988 at the exit polls after we had spent days in jail, okay? I'm going to tell you a quick little story, but the worst is yet to come on this evangelical poll. And you're going to want to hear it because this is a time when we all need to do just a little bit of soul searching. Don't go away.